Welcome to Small Business Big Visibility. I'm super excited for today's interview. I've got Peter Holzer here, and he is a business owner. He's a LinkedIn influencer, former software engineer, a marketing expert, and I was lucky enough to bump into him at a business conference a couple of months ago. Peter, why don't you tell everyone your story?
Hello, Jason. Thanks for being here. Hello to everybody who's listening. Yes, my name is Peter. I'm from Austria, in the center of Europe, not to mixed up with Australia. We don't have kangaroos over here, but we have a lot of mountains. As Jason said, I am a former software engineer, so I have a computer science background. I studied computer science a few years ago, and then was a freelancer, software freelancer for some years. Then I onboarded a few people. I went into the agency direction, so I hired staff and yeah, was an agency more or less. There we developed software for companies, for let's say small to mid-sized business companies. We did it individually, so whatever they wanted us to do, we did this. For some years, I struggled to scale my company because, as I just said, we did what the customer wanted us to do, and we did not really position ourselves. And so, over a few months or years, basically, I learned about positioning, what it is, how it can be implemented. And then there was also the NFT hype. I don't know if you guys remember this, but the time where everybody went crazy on this non-fungible tokens, and I had a blockchain background as well. So we decided to position ourselves as a NFT smart contract development agency for startups, basically. And there I learned that you can be yes, so in such a high demand because people want to do want to work with you basically because they understand what they are getting. That 1 week I had 23 inbound project inquiries, so that's unseen before. And so I really learned about positioning and what it can do for you. And but then I turned my agency down because I had no fun anymore developing software, and I went into a consulting business, which is basically also my business, but I'm now consulting and helping other software development agencies on positioning basically, or I always say also strategic marketing, because this is what they are missing. They are good developers, they are good technicians, but they are no good sales or marketing people.
Absolutely. And so, if you don't mind, some of our audience, I'm sure, is huge crypto fans and understands that whole world, and others haven't even dipped their toe in it yet. So tell us a little bit more about your thoughts and opinions on the crypto world and NFTs and that whole ball of wax.
Yes, sure. So I'm in blockchain since, so technically, since 2017. I also focused on my master studies on this topic. I wrote my master thesis on this, and so I'm a huge fan from a technological perspective. I'm also, of course, a huge believer in Bitcoin. I'm in Bitcoin since 2018, let's say. I was a student back then, but so only a small amount is from that time. But I really love it. So I think Bitcoin is, I believe in it being a digital gold or something like that. Other coins, I don't know. There are a lot of coins who are trying to be an application layer, like Ethereum or something like that, where you can run applications on it. It's interesting, but um, I'm kind of doubting that there are real. I think there are way less real business use cases than people thought back then, because you see it now, nobody's talking about it anymore. So, and for some years, people really tried hard to find legit business issues, or basically problems that can be solved with blockchain. Many problems are also just made up to be solved then with blockchain. So it's kind of, I don't know, I see it mixed. Do you know what I mean? So I think it can provide real value, but in a very specific in very specific scenarios, and not in a broad it's not, I think that every company can use blockchain directly. So maybe in a financial world it makes perfect sense. So we see Bitcoin is a legit application of a blockchain since a decade or more now. So it makes sense for some things. But with this whole smart contract topic, Ethereum and all the other application blockchains, or distributed ledger blockchains, um, I don't know. I'm not sure anymore, to be
Yeah.
really honest. I was a huge fan And but I kind of, yeah, got back to reality, I think.
Yeah, I think that it kind of reminds me of a bit of the dot-com uh, world where everyone was so enamored by this idea of this internet. And I remember hearing a story that a company had been, they were a tropical fish company, and they would go and gather tropical fish and then sell them at a wholesale level. And all they did was change their name from tropical fish to tropicalfish.com, and their stock had been a penny stock, and it just shot up through the roof because everyone's like, oh, they're a tech company.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think that we see the same thing with the crypto hype, where there's all these people who are hyping things, but a bunch of it's not there. I have heard one example of a use case was that they use the blockchain technology for updates to self-driving vehicles and the
Mm-hmm.
technology for cars. That way, a hacker would have to hack a large percentage of all the machines before they can actually force a bad update onto the cars, which makes it infinitely more difficult. So definitely
Mm-hmm.
some real world uses, but it, like you were saying, it's not the hype that everyone made it out to be.
Exactly. I have the feeling that really for some years, or yeah, for some years, I think people really tried hard to find problems, and also I think made up problems that weren't there or weren't the fit for being solved with the blockchain technology, right? So I think really it's like you said. So like there was a huge hype, and everybody tried to solve, to bring in a nail with not a hammer, but with a screwdriver, for example, right? So it's like you have a tool, but most of the times or many times there was not really a problem. Or in other words, maybe the problem is so complex and so huge that it's also hard to solve. Like I think supply chain is a good use case. It, Theoretically, people are always referring that in supply chain management you can use blockchain because you have so many players in a supply chain, for example. But there are so many technical issues to be solved. Like everybody has to speak the same language, basically, then, which is also kind of unrealistic to be happen soon, right? So yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Yeah.
It's
It'll be interesting
interesting,
over the
of
next
course.
10 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a very interesting technology in the financial world. It makes perfect sense because it's closed. You don't need any data from outside. Like Bitcoin is a closed system, right? You
Hmm.
have no observations of the world, or you don't need any input from the other world. Like when you do want to do supply chain management, you need to have data coming into the blockchain, and then there's the question: is this trustworthy, or is this the bottleneck or the security loophole or so? So. Yeah, and then there are Oracle systems, another a thing that came up with for solving such problems, and they bring up again another problem. So, um, uh, yeah, do you know what I mean? It's I
Yeah.
don't know if this is
Yeah. How
for
can you trust
something
an
is
oracle when you're on a trustless system, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, very interesting. And I'm sure we could talk for hours about that. But let's move back to your current business. I like what you're talking about, where you said you went through this journey yourself where finding customers was difficult until
Mhm.
you really I understood this idea of understanding your potential customer, understanding the market, understanding your business strengths, positioning yourself, and then all of a sudden you have more customers than you could handle. I'd imagine that 23 inquiries a week was probably just a level of almost overload, right?
Yes, I mean, to be honest, it was the best week. It was not like every week was like that,
Sure.
but it felt like yeah, glasses from my eyes. So that when you say what you do, basically, and in a way that people are understanding it, and not only what you do, but what they get from it, that it is easy for them to decide either they should contact you because they want the thing, or they shouldn't contact you because they don't want the thing. And with individual software development, this is my example, my negative example of people who are positioning themselves like individual software development for companies. This is what I read all the time. People don't really know what do I get there? Are they experts in mobile app, in desktop app, in web app, in Angular, in Node.js, and what do I get there? And even if they are technology experts, why do I need it? Why do I need a mobile app, for example, right? So there are a lot of questions that maybe most aware people can answer themselves when they see such an offer, but many cannot answer, and you need to answer it for the client. So, and the businesses who answer the questions best to their prospects, I think, win.
Right. And so with your current business that you're doing, you're helping these software companies position themselves, right? And so what does that look like?
Exactly. So it's we always talk about lead generation, customer acquisition, but I always say the logical cue is you have to have a positioning, a clear and a good positioning in order to get leads, in order to get new clients, in order to get new projects, in order to grow your business, right? So this is the logical chain there. And people get it, so that positioning is important. They often underestimate how important it is and what an impact it can make. And I make them aware of it. We talk about it. I give them a lot of examples at the beginning, and soon they grasp the importance of it. And then we talk about how to position them. Basically, in a one-on-one consulting, I'm doing currently one-on-one consulting. Before I will transition to a more hybrid model where I maybe have a video uh, basis course or whatever, and still an individual collaboration. And we talk about what do they do. So I always say positioning is based on three pillars: what, who, and why. So what do you do? Or what do you provide, basically, not just what do you do, but what do the prospects get? Who is the prospect? So really, ideally a person or at least a business in a niche. And why do they need it? So what are the reasons or the benefits, and why do they need it? For example, growing their businesses again, or getting ahead in their industry, or making sure that they don't get behind or something like that, right? So because we need reasons. Every time we ask ourselves, and everybody does that, what's in it for me? Why should I do this, right? And as I said before, if I answered those questions right away for the client, like you need a mobile app, for example, as a machinery business to not get behind, then it's very clear for a machinery business, if they have the fear of getting behind that, and they think a mobile app can help them, that they should call us. And if not, then don't call us. And this is exactly what positioning should do, right? Be a filter for the right clients and also against, so to say, the wrong clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I like this story of your own journey, how you went freelance, run your own business, then moved into this whole consulting world. How did you know it was time to move on from owning the software development company and transitioning into a consulting role? What factors played into that? What was that journey like for you?
Yeah, good question. I think when I remember back, there were a few things coming together. Like, I'm a huge fan of Russell Brunson. I'm following his stuff, and he always speaks about the levels of opportunities, right? And I think software engineering, I felt at least how I played it. I felt in a limited vehicle. So, right, I think I don't felt that this vehicle can enable me to basically live up to my full potential, if I'm honest. So I was kind of frustrated. Then there was this AI trend coming up. So like I saw AI tools that can maybe develop software for on a prompt, right? So I still see and saw a threat there. So maybe less people can develop more software in the future. So it's more competitive and more, um, yeah, m- yeah, more competitive. So like even harder to stand out. And even if I studied computer science and I also finished it, I was always between chairs. Like I'm a technician, but I'm also kind of marketing sales. I love marketing and sales. So before I studied computer science, I was also in a marketing and sales job. So I kind of switched back and forth all the time already, kind of, right? So always was in the intersection between both, and I think I can use my potential more on the marketing and sales side, speaking to technicians because they can relate to me and I can relate to them. and help them on things that they cannot do that good, right? Marketing and sales. This is not what they learned, basically. And I have both worlds, or I learned both worlds. And so I thought this is a better vehicle, a better opportunity for me, a higher level opportunity where I can also earn more. Um, and yeah, this is why I did it. And I love it more, basically.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like it was definitely the right like step in that journey where all the factors came together and kind of just almost pushed you and said, here's where you're supposed to be.
Yes, it felt really, yeah, thank you. It felt really like a perfect fit and perfect time. So it was not forced. As I said, I was frustrated. I thought the thread through AI, so to say, and also my opportunity on the other side, and it all came together perfectly. Mm.
Mhm. And so, have you ever been in a position in your business where you were overworked? Did that happen in the software world?
Um,
And if not, how did you
yes.
manage that?
I think there were some weeks where I really was at full capacity. It was also because a project didn't went that well. So we had troubles. We yeah took longer basically. Like I think it's a common problem in software engineering. We took longer than the client want us to take, and of course for this we yeah cost them more expenses and we charge more money. So this was really stressful for some weeks or months.
Hmm.
When I look back, it was simply a bad decision from my side. I took on a project which was not a really good fit. I don't really wanted to do it, but I needed it because of we had more people than project. So I needed to have, so I needed something at this time. So I took it on. And in hindsight, it was just because it was not a good fit. The client was not perfect. The project was not perfect. We just did it for the money, to be honest,
Mm.
and it turned out to be a mistake. So I
I
think it's
think
common
that's
advice to say that you don't should do anything that is not perfectly made for you. And I learned it again here.
Yeah, yeah, which goes right back to that whole next step of positioning and understanding your strengths so that you don't get
Exactly,
in those positions, right?
exactly. Mm.
So what do you do in your spare time when you're not consulting and or maybe writing code for fun on the side or anything? What do you do?
Yeah. I'm a huge sports fan, but not team sports or so. I like to run. I like to walk outside, listen to podcasts, or just exploring the nature. I'm living countryside, so a few minutes of walking, I'm in a complete nature. Um, I love to spend time with my family, my girlfriend, and my son. I have a little son, 6 months old. So it's yeah, it's a huge learning on this side as well. I like to be a family, right? So being a good father or a good mentor maybe for him. And so yeah, spending time with family, doing sports. I always say business is kind of a hobby for me. So like it doesn't feel, I mean, it's work, of course, but it doesn't feel heavy, and I love to do it. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to do it on Sunday evening, on Monday, right? So I also work sometimes on Saturday, on Sunday. So it's like a hobby for me as well. So yeah,
So
but
how
basically
when
to
you
have a
love it that
counterpart.
much, what's
Sorry,
that?
I just wanted to say to have a counterpart to sitting in front of a computer. I love to move myself in the nature.
Yeah. So how do you balance that where when you love work and enjoy it, now it is work, everyone like it is work, but how do you balance the fact that you love it and it's your hobby and you enjoy it that much to where you don't get so into it that you start excluding those other things that are valuable too?
Mhm. Yeah, good question. So first of all, I think I have a very supportive girlfriend who really understands me and supports me. She she knows what's important for me and she supports me on this as well. This is a huge yeah, a huge backwind, of course. On the other side, I'm a very reflective person, so I love to think about yeah, myself basically, and also what I love to do. And I have a vision, and I have a mission basically, and I have a vision board and and such things. And I just know that, for example, living a healthy life, which is of course, includes doing sports and doing movement, basically, at least, like body movement. So I know that I want to get 100 years old. And in order to do this, I need to move myself regularly. And I also have to get up here in front of the computer and cannot sit the whole day. So I think hmm, I think you can bring it down to the priorities. I know what's important for me, what's not important for me. I really know this. And for this, it's easy for me to make, at least I think, the right decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, I love how having, I mean, 100, literally 100-year goal, right? Like you're partway through that, but that's that that's going to take a while to accomplish. It's cool to me that you have something so far out that you can keep yourself accountable to each day and bring it back and say, okay, today am I actually serving my 100-year goal, or am I only serving the immediate needs, right?
Yeah, it's not only that, to be honest. I also think that being successful requires to be healthy and to be energetic, right? So you have to. I'm not a. Don't get me wrong. So I'm not a freak on this topic, right? But I know that, or I think I know that when you want to be successful, you need to be healthy. And in order to be healthy, you need to, yeah, at least move your body, get some steps in. Yeah, because business is a huge part in my life. As I said, it's like a hobby, or it's basically my life. I also identify myself throughout the business, to be honest. This goes hand in hand, and so I have to do it in order to achieve this other thing, you know. So it's really interconnected very very tightly. I think for me at least.
Yeah.
Does this make sense?
Oh, it does. Absolutely. Yeah. So now, based on all of that and kind of the story that we've shared of your life and everything, what would you count as some of your big success moments?
Oh, that's a tough question because I was thinking about what does success even mean for me. It's a small word we use every day, and if you ask me, I'm a successful person. I don't know. So I always say I'm not successful, but would I say I'm successful? I don't know. There's definitely room for improvement. And so, yeah, what is my biggest success? It's kind of hard because of that reason. Um, maybe so. Yeah, my son is of course a huge success. I'm very grateful for him. um, is my first son, so it's kind of really I transitioned from being a child basically to being a parent, right? So it
Mhm.
was a huge win. Of course, finishing my studies was also what people would count as a huge success. It was also for me, but it felt not that big as maybe it's seen from the outside. Um, I'm in business for 5 years now, which is yeah, it's also maybe a small success. Many businesses fail within, I don't know, 1 or 2 years or so. So yeah, but I think my biggest success is in the future somewhere.
Mm.
I hope so, at least.
Sure. Yeah, what I've found is it seems like what many people view as a really big success, when we're looking at it internally, it seems like it's a number of really small things. And then
Yes,
all of a sudden you're looking, you're like, oh, somehow I got to this plateau in life, right? And
yes.
and you're like, well, it doesn't seem really big because it was just all these little baby steps. But to anyone else, you're like, wow, how did they do that?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, maybe this is just because we don't see it as this, because we just see the incremental steps like yesterday and today. And they maybe from the outside see you 5 years ago and now you 5 years later, right? So it's a huge gap then, of course. But for us, like we live our lives every day, we just, under quotes, see the small incremental steps. And maybe this is, as you said, the reason why we devalue successes, maybe sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely a part of it. And then
Mm.
sometimes the flip side of that is we focus too much on our perceived failures because we're taking those baby steps, but a failure kind of slaps us upside the face and shakes us a little bit. And then we're like, whoa, wait, how did I mess up so bad? But in
Yeah,
reality, the failures are probably smaller than we
yeah,
also give them credit for.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, I think this is true. Yeah, yeah. Successes are maybe smaller for us, but failures are maybe bigger for us. In the is a perceived. All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, what strategies, tools, or techniques have you used in your life to get through all of your studies, to go from school to freelance, from freelance to business owner, from business owner into the consulting world? What are those little things that you use every day that have helped you get to where you're at?
Mm-hmm. Good question. I would say having the priorities right is most important, and in order for this, you need to have goals, I think. So I know every day what I want to achieve. I remind myself of my vision board where I see myself in 3 years, 5 years, and so on and so forth. Um, and I think, as I said before, for me, it's then easier to make decisions because I know what I want, and I can always ask myself, does this help me get closer to my goal or push me further away, right? And so it's like, I think really, I really think this is the truth. Like having a goal, setting priorities, I'm kind of a very structured person, so I have everything in lists and on my calendar, on I don't know, to-do apps and so on and so forth. So I don't miss anything. I'm structured, which also helps because you don't forget important things then. So yeah, write things down and think about what do you want to achieve or where do you want to go, right? I think so many people, and this is what Russell also says, so many people are drifters, like so they are I don't know. If I go on the street and ask a person, what is your goal in 5 years, I guess most of them won't have an answer, right? So yeah, not many are that driven like we are, right? I think.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I think goals absolutely are huge. So, what words of wisdom or advice or encouragement would you give to someone else who's out there kind of grinding away in business? Maybe they haven't found the thing that's exactly perfect, or maybe the times are tough for them right now. What encouragement or advice would you give someone in that position?
Hmm. I really think, as everybody successful person says, be aware of your environment. Like there's this famous saying, you are the average of the five closest people around you, right? So when you have the right, and it's not that physical people, it's I think it also it's virtually, right? So what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are watching. I think it's all the things that you consume, right? You are the average of all the things you consume, maybe. And if you watch out and maybe shape it in a way that you uh, want it to be, then it's easier. So it's like setting up the environment for success, I think. And yeah, I think time is a huge factor. Like when, as you said, when somebody doesn't have the right vehicle yet, time will figure it out, but not on its own. So you need to do stuff to find it, of course. Um, but I don't know. I think not overstressing. There's so much get rich quick, and social media is full of uh, millionaires that got there within 2 weeks, and so this is all. I don't know. Ignore that. Do your stuff. Shape your environment, and let time work for you. Basically, maybe something like that. I know it sounds very, very high level and very abstract, but I think it is like this, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Too many people think that they can achieve success in a really short period of time. And success is those little building blocks, and it just takes time to get there. And like you said earlier, you've got to have that goal and that vision. So otherwise you're just drifting, like you say. And when you're drifting, then you're going to end up nowhere and you'll
Yeah.
just be going around in circles your whole life.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And like also what I said is when you shape your environment, when you listen, when you plug in the right people in your ears, like Russell Brunson or Alex Hormozy or all these famous business influencers there, I think they are really helping shape the perfect mindset or at least a good mindset. So like Alex Hormozy is always talking about that the work works more on you than you work on it, right? So it's you are the product. And so if you see it like this, then it's no get rich quick. It's like being the best or becoming the best version that you can be and playing the game as long as you can play it and not just doing it for 2 weeks and be a millionaire. Because the question is, what then? What will you do then? So there are still 50, 60, 80, whatever years to live. So what will you do then? So I think having the possibility to improve, to grow step by step is and becoming the best version of yourself. Basically, I think it's what's life maybe kind of is about.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you've mentioned Russell and Alex. Who are those, maybe those five influencers or several influencers that kind of play into your world? Who
Yeah.
stands out for you in that space?
Mhm. Yeah, I really follow Russell and Alex to a T. So I consume everything from them. Um, I also love Myron Golden. He is also very has great a great mindset. I think for me it also comes down to the mindset. I want to apply, right? And yeah, those people. Um, Honestly, even if I'm from Europe, I don't have many European entrepreneurs I'm following. I'm really loving what you are doing over there. So it's you are more entrepreneurial than we are here, and so I'm following basically several US entrepreneurs. Who else is there? Um, Simon Sinek
Mm-hmm.
is a great author. I also love his book Infinite Game, and this is what I was talking about, right? That the goal of a business is playing and not winning, like playing as long as you can. Um, yeah,
And so
I
how
think
did you
those are the
first
most important.
discover your first influencer, business influencer? Do you have a story around discovering one of these people, or maybe if that's not it, do you have something that one of them has said that's really like moved you in a whole new direction in life?
Yeah. Um, That's interesting. I haven't thought about it. So definitely I explored Alex Hormozy earlier than Russell Brunson.
Mm-hmm.
I then found out that Alex also went through the school under quotes through Russell Brunson, right? So I'm now following him more or less. Um, but how did I come to him or how did I explore him? I don't know. There's this book, right? $100 million offers where everybody was talking about. Maybe I saw it somewhere 2 or 3 years ago. It's not longer than that. So I'm kind of new to them. Um, like I think Russell, I explored Russell since last summer only. So it's just a few months or maybe a year like that. Um,
And so
yeah.
what's it been like? Because it's only been a couple of years for you. What's it been like to have gone from kind of moving along to now having these people that you look up to in a sense and listen to for their training and their inspiration and their ideas? What has that done for you at kind of an intellectual level or at a business level?
A lot, basically, really a lot. Also, um, I got way more long-term thinking through the help of them. Um, that it's not about, yeah, as I said, get rich tomorrow. Maybe I started being in business to get rich, maybe, right?
Mhm.
But I'm definitely not here for that anymore. So I really want to have an, yeah, not even impact. I think I want to make myself the proudest. So like achieving what I can achieve and being proud of myself. And I really think this, and this comes down to long-term thinking, I think, right? Because yeah, I really think that is the key. So like they help me shape my mindset towards a way more long-term thinking than I had before. So I was not I was never a really short-term thinking person because I also started to study and I knew that it will take 5, 6 years. So like and I did it. Like it was not an issue that I say, yeah, I was only thinking towards tomorrow or so. Uh, but yeah, they 10x'd, I would say, my long-term thinking capability or so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's such an important part of life to make those mindset shifts and also to surround yourself with people who have already been down the path that we're
Yeah.
trying to walk down. because I know personally for years I was kind of bouncing along and I didn't really have anyone who had walked a similar path before me that had turned around and was now mentoring or coaching or consulting me. And when I actually started reaching out and connecting with people who have been down that path, it makes all the difference. You can compress time. So what would have
Mm-hmm.
taken me 3 years to figure out now is taking me 6 weeks because somebody who's been there can say, hey, avoid all these pitfalls you're going to fall for. Do it this way instead, right?
Mm-hmm. Who are you following in this space?
Yeah, so some of the same names that you just said are huge for me. I really enjoy all of the Alex Hormozy stuff. Myron Golden has recently come on my radar, but been absolutely loving what he puts out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I'm a fan of Russell Brunson. I also like Tony Robbins is someone that I've followed for a long time. But then also going back even further to some of the people who are no longer around, like Jim Rohn is someone that I've enjoyed listening to what he produced, and then going back even further and reading some of the old business books from the early 1900s has really been influential on me because the way people write changes and the way people communicate changes, and society will shift, but human nature doesn't change and the
Mm-hmm.
principles behind this stuff doesn't change. So I can read those books that are completely out of date, and then the nuggets really stand out, I think, a lot brighter because I'm looking at it from 100 year later perspective and saying, well, that's not going to work, but I see what the principle is that they're trying to
Yeah,
teach here, and that's what I can take because human nature doesn't change.
amazing. Mm-hmm. Cool.
So I'm curious, where could our listeners connect with you? Maybe there's some business owners who are software companies that want to reach out and find out more about what you're doing. How would they get a hold of you or find out more information?
Yeah, basically the best spot, I guess, is on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. You called me an LinkedIn influencer, which I got red on my face. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also active on YouTube. Of course, I have a web page and so on and so forth. But to be honest, my weak spot here is that most of my content, unfortunately, at this time is in German. And I will transition to English pretty soon. So please bear with me if you want to consume my stuff. But yeah, you can of course contact me via LinkedIn, and my profile there is in English as well. And we can have a conversation in English as well. And I can help you as well. So yeah, you have to reach out and um, unfortunately you cannot consume my content until you speak German.
So there you go, everybody. Learn German. So I'm curious,
So I
which
think,
is your native language?
sorry,
Which is your native language? German or
it's German. It's German.
wow, I'm impressed. Your English is better than mine.
Oh, thanks for the roses. Yes, it's because I'm reading English books. Like I'm reading every day for an hour English. I'm hearing podcasts, as I said, from Alex and Ruslan and all those people in English. I'm having yeah almost every day a meeting in English. So I'm around English. I don't know 2 3 hours a day. So thanks for the roses. I'm doing my best here, of course. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the podcast today. I really appreciate all the insights that you've shared, and I feel like you just shared so many gold nuggets with my audience. I hope they take the time to really pick them up and apply them because it would be game changing if they did. So thank you.
Many thanks to you, Jason, and also thanks for the listeners. And yeah, I wish everybody an amazing morning, evening, a day, or whatever. So, and hopefully hear you soon.
Awesome. And to our audience, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Small Business Big Visibility. If you found this content helpful, I'd love it if you'd subscribe and also share it with another business owner who could benefit.